Hey friends, I think I'm live. I think I'm here. I'm going to take a look and see. Let's see here. Check and make sure I am good to go. Hey friends, I'm live. Hey, I see 4 eyeballs. How's it going, everyone? Welcome. Thanks for jumping on this live with me. If you are just jumping on, let me know. Give me a hey, hello. You know, if you're watching the replay, you can just go ahead, fast forward, skip the intro, and we'll get right into our chat about identifying irrational beliefs and rephrasing to support positive progress. So let's just see here. I'm just going to wait a few minutes. If you're tuning in with me live, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know that you are here, and we will get started here in just a few minutes. Sounds good. Today, or this week, I should say, has been a bit of a big week for my household. My boyfriend has been working on becoming a registered architect, and this week he had his interview, so that was really big for him. So we've been celebrating that. I mean, that has absolutely nothing to do with anything today, but that's kind of what's going on in my world. I'm just going to check the comments here and see who's here. Katie's here, Kyla's here, Wendy's here, Andrew's here, Avery's here. Fantastic, guys. Thanks for letting me know. Also, question, while we wait for a few more people, why don't you let me know if it has snowed where you are at? If you're in Australia like me, currently, you're probably like, what on earth is snow even? And if you're back in my home country in Canada, you may already be feeling all too familiar with it. You know, I'm here in Australia for the year, if you didn't learn that in my last live, or if you didn't know that, and this will be my first time ever having a tropical Christmas. So there's a question, you know, let me know in the comments, have you ever been to a tropical place around Christmas time, or have you ever spent Christmas in a tropical place? Let me know. While you let me know, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get this going. One sec here. I'll check those comments. Have you spent it in a tropical place? I want to know. See what those comments are. Let's see what people have to say. And my family growing up, we always went away in the winter, but we never actually spent Christmas away. That was kind of always our deal. Oh, yes, snow in Yag. Yep, it's here. Snowy here in Sherwood Park. Edmonton is cold, Janice. I'm sure it is. Wendy, you've never spent it in a tropical place. Kyla, no, but I do remember one Christmas growing up, we had a weird brown Christmas, right? So weird. I'm fully anticipating that this is going to be a weird year for me when I'm sitting at a pool instead of, you know, cozied up inside. Avery said, I actually haven't, always in Canada. Hawaii is the best for Christmas. Janice, then you would be all over where I'm spending Christmas this year, because it's basically like Hawaii. Okay, guys, well, that's cool. Keep commenting in. I'll check it. We'll just wait like 30 more seconds. I just want to make sure that the people, you know, who have jumped in, everyone who wants to join today, I want to make sure that they've jumped in and get this from the beginning. I don't want people to be jumping in halfway and being really confused as to what's going on. So we'll just give them a couple more seconds and see who else maybe hops on. Today's going to be a really interesting topic, one I think a lot of people will benefit from. And I just want to make sure, like I said, that no one feels lost or confused, so that you guys all get the benefit of this. And I'll check back for those comments again. Before I get started though, let me remind you that whether you've just joined this Strong Together group or you've been around for a while, I encourage you to engage, ask questions, give me feedback. The more I hear from you guys, the more energy I can invest into this group and what it can offer. And also, it's a community of support that is available to you, so use it. So if you're here, whether live or for the replay, please do not be shy. Feel free to also ask any questions that you might like. I will check back in the comments today as we go, and I would love to connect with you guys. I'll check the comments one more time, and then we're going to dig in. Hey, Jane. I would love, love, love to spend Christmas in the mountains in a villa. Yes, I am with you, Kyla. I've spent New Year's at Jasper Park Lodge, but I know around Christmas time, I think in November, this is totally off topic, but I think in November they have like a Christmas in November where you can stay at one of their cabins. They'll give you a tree that you can decorate, but you're like in the mountains. How good does that sound? How good? But I've not been in a tropical place for Christmas, unfortunately, Jane. Yeah, it's gonna be my first one, so I'll let you guys know how it goes. Cool. Okay, well, let's just jump in, guys. Whoever's going to come is going to come. Now, I always enjoy taking a poll on the topic for live chats because it really gives me an idea of where people are at and what they need the most help with. And that's, after all, that is what I'm here for, to help you guys. So today's topic was actually your vote, and it is all about identifying irrational beliefs and rephrasing to support positive progress. And I know from both personal and professional experience that mindset, it plays a massive role in how we achieve success. If we feel positive, if we feel in a good headspace, we are often more motivated, we're more inspired, we're more disciplined. But if we feel the opposite, if we feel like we're wrestling different desires, if we're confused about our direction, or we feel like we are our own worst enemy, it can be really hard to create any kind of real momentum. And I think that's what's interesting about today's topic, is that oftentimes we may not even be aware of how we are indulging internal beliefs or stories we tell ourselves that do actually hinder us from moving forward in a progressive space. Sometimes we just don't even know. So can you let me know in the comments, is creating a nurturing and positive mindset something that you find challenging? Is creating, is just being a more positive person challenging for you? Do you find you're often fighting yourself internally? Let me know. I would just love to get a feel for who's here and what this looks like for people. So feel free to elaborate in the comments if you are willing. I'll just give you guys some time in that. Let me know, is nurturing a positive mindset, is that hard for you, or do you feel like you're constantly kind of fighting yourself? Let me know. Sometimes, Shauna said she spends her Christmas at a cabin in North Saskatchewan. That sounds amazing. Just an FYI. So while you guys respond to that, if this is something that's challenging to you, I want to be conscious of your time today. This is a topic that could go quite deep and it could be discussed at length. But my goal today is to help you identify, even on a small scale, where your mindset might be hindering you, and to provide some easy insight on how you can tweak that to move forward in a better direction. So keep in mind that this is a bit of the Cliff's Note version of a topic. And if we find that there is something specific that all of us would like more education on, I'm happy to do an additional live diving into that. So please feel free to let me know in the comments. One thing I will also mention before we dive in is that I send out weekly emails that discuss different wellness strategies. I expand on different topics just like this, and I really just provide you that healthy little dose of encouragement for your week. A good portion of you are probably already receiving this weekly email, but if you don't, I'd encourage you to just message me, let me know if you'd like to be on that list, because it will just supplement and support what I'm providing you here today. Sound good? I'll check the comments again in a minute, but let's move on. If you know me, this is nothing new, but if you are new here, new for the first time, and we've never met, hello. My name is Jen. Some fun facts about me include that I am a Canadian currently living in Australia. I am a foodie. Prior to choosing the career in health that I did, I actually wanted to be a pastry chef. And I will argue that my waistline thanks me for choosing not to be. I have been a type 1 diabetic for 14 years, and my true joy comes from helping women make empowering decisions and pursue confident lives. And I do this through fitness, nutrition, and mindset coaching, which I've actually been doing for the last 7 years. Crazy, right? So now that that's out of the way, let's actually dig into the goods for today. Okay. Now, when we're talking about mindset, there are a lot of things that can influence how we think or behave. And today we are focusing on what internally can influence our actions. There are certain types of thoughts that, whether we are aware of them or not, that they actually decrease our sense of hopefulness and our sense of control, and that can cause us unhappy moods. So that, simply put, is what an irrational belief is. They are the thoughts that often lead to unhappy moods, and they do so by exaggerating our reality in a negative way or by creating for ourselves a sense of limited choice or actions. The language that is used within our thoughts provides cues that can be used to identify our tendencies to think in problematic terms. And if that feels and sounds like a complicated sentence, what that really means is that the language we are using internally in our minds, it tells us a certain story. And depending on how we tell that story, we may become more consistently negative in how we think, how we see, and how we act. Okay? Think about it. I mean, certain words, they tell a specific kind of story. And these are actually called automatic problematic thoughts. Say that 10 times fast. APTs, they are irrational thoughts that are based on extreme words, which tend to exaggerate ideas and events, which can make us feel hopeless. And what more, these absolute words, they can demand certain actions or outcomes, which more times than not are actions or outcomes we don't actually want. So irrational beliefs, they may draw a conclusion when the evidence does not support the conclusion. And an irrational belief may create a general rule from a single incident or behavior. It may exaggerate a problem or event to make it seem hopeless or impossible to change. It may endorse a belief that there are two sides to an issue, only two sides. So kind of that all or none mentality. It's either good, it's bad, it's right, or it's wrong. Or an irrational belief may focus on aspects of behavior that are more negative than positive. And now I realize this might sound all a little bit in depth, but let's get to some examples that might make this easier to resonate with you guys. So you may not be able to identify with all of these or exactly with them, but there should be tones that you're able to recognize within your own self. So some of these examples of irrational beliefs include: everyone should love me. Every problem, it has an ideal solution. I have to be highly competent in everything I do. Other people should always treat me considerately and fairly. I should be able to improve my fitness in a week. I should feel stronger after every workout, not tired or sore. I must lose weight every week. Are any of these sounding potentially like you? Here's a few more. If I don't lose weight every week, then I'm a failure and I may as well give up. If I don't succeed every week, then my personal trainer will think I'm worthless, a failure, uncommitted. So I may as well give up. If I don't eat the food that my host offers me, she will hate me. I should not deprive my family of treats just because I am trying to lose weight. Okay, whoa, right? That's a lot. After listing those examples, can you identify with any of those thoughts or ones that, maybe sound similar? If you feel comfortable, I would love for you to share what stood out or came to mind as I listed those. I know we're diving right into it, but I want to know, does any of those things sound like you? If you have one that was similar or one that you struggle with a lot and you feel comfortable sharing it, let us know. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on here. I'm going to check comments. I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Jane says, I try to keep telling myself being positive is a lot more healthy than thinking negatively about things going on in life. Absolutely. Kyla, most times I'm pretty good at my self-talk. Some days I'm harder on myself. Yeah, true. And you might find that you go in waves, right? Like you might have 10 great days and then one really bad day. This will still be relevant to you. Katie said, depends on the day. Sometimes I find it super easy and then I have a hard day. It's harder to be nurturing. Exactly, similar to Kyla. Avery said, I feel like I struggle with this for body image the most, not so much my daily outlook on life. I'm a pretty positive person, but I think I'm pretty hard on myself. Yeah, and a lot of this is internal, right? It won't necessarily be about how we see the rest of the world and, you know, our role with everyone else. It's oftentimes an expectation of ourself or an internal belief about ourself and how things should be. So these are great, guys. I'll give you guys a little another chance to comment along. Feel free to add it as we go. Kyla said the personal trainer one for sure, but the weight loss ones resonate the most. I figured for a lot of you, the weight loss ones would. Janice said, my physio feels like I'm not making progress, an honest but unhealthy thought. Yeah, true. So you're able to identify that. Avery said, some of those, yes, and it's weird hearing them all together at once like that. It shines a light on how negative these statements really are. Yes, you got it. Okay. Now, I'm sure these examples, you can identify how they are unrealistic at best, you know, how they are irrational, just like you said, Avery. We all know that everyone is not going to love us. We all know that some problems, you know, they have an ideal solution, or sorry, they have an appropriate solution, but they won't always have an ideal solution. There won't always be a perfect answer. All of us, I am certain, have been treated unfairly or inconsiderately, and we all should know that losing weight, seeing the number on the scale change, it is such an insignificant measure of progress that judging success purely off of this is not only kind of stupid, but it neglects to acknowledge so many other things, so many other measures of progress. And if you just gave up just because of that, if you believed you were a failure just because of that, you would totally sell yourself short. These types of words or sentences such as these, they limit our sense of control or choice. And keep in mind that both hopelessness and feeling out of control can cause depression, or it can increase anxious feelings. And when we indulge in these irrational beliefs, they only push us in a worse direction. So whether or not you identified with those examples, it's not hard to apply this to your own life and your own mind, right? Irrational beliefs, they derive from both extreme and absolute words. Okay, so that was the commonality, is that a word? That was the common theme in all of those examples. They all had extreme and absolute words. So some common extreme words are all, awful, essential, every, horrible, terrible, totally. Those are some examples of extreme words. Some common absolute words include have to, need, must, ought, should. And I find even in my own personal experience and professional experience that I hear more absolute words than extreme, but it's often that you'll see a combination of both, or you'll be able to identify a combination of both. So our first step is to identify these irrational beliefs. Call them out for what they are. And if I'm going to be honest, you know, this is going to take some intention at first. If you've had these beliefs or ideas for a while, they may be so ingrained to the point that you don't even realize they're there. Now, hopefully with this topic in mind, you'll now be able to catch them, identify them, and then as we discuss later, rephrase them. But I would suggest, you know, keeping a journal or even a note in your phone and try and write down some of those beliefs when you catch them. Writing them down, it adds that visual reinforcement, which at times can make us really see how hindering these beliefs can be, and also help you identify tendencies of thought that keep you from moving forward. You know, and if you can't always identify a thought, if that feels challenging or overwhelming, try and be more aware of when you are feeling out of control, when you are feeling unsure, unconfident, or really any other less than ideal emotion. Try and dig a little deeper there and see if there is an internal dialogue happening behind the emotion that you are feeling. That's a really great place to start. That's step one, okay? I would love to hear your feedback on what's been discussed so far. Let me know in the comments if you have not already done so, and I will take a look before we move on. Is this resonating with you guys at all? Jane said, I tend to be impatient with myself when I start something new. I want to be able to do it all right off the bat. I think that's very fair to a lot of people. And that's a really good example of how when we start something new, our expectation and our internal beliefs are at times not realistic. They're a little bit irrational. And that's probably why, in some regards too, a lot of people who pursue quick fixes give up very quickly because they have an irrational belief supporting what they're pursuing. Katie said that's a word. Thank you. Wendy said, yes, it is. Jane said, yes, it is. Kyla said, yes. Stephanie, yes. Carol, so glad you're popping on and just catching up. You can always watch the replay after the fact if you need to catch the beginning, but you're in a good spot. Avery said, yes, this is amazing. Wonderful. I'm so glad. Let's move on. Now, the second part of today's chat is all about rephrasing our irrational beliefs to support positive progress. So the answer is not completely getting rid of these thoughts. And to be honest, I don't believe that that's possible. You're going to have irrational beliefs, but what we can do is become better at rephrasing these thoughts, which contribute to continued success. So the better and the quicker we get at identifying them, breaking them down, and building them back better, the more dedicated and resilient we become. It's kind of like strengthening a muscle, right? The more you're aware of it, the more efficient you get at addressing it, and it becomes just a small blip instead of like a massive one that is a huge hurdle to get over. So how we rephrase is to establish alternative words to absolute or extreme words, okay? We want to rephrase these thoughts with thoughts that are more constructive, with thoughts that are more hopeful and positive, and we want to take out the rigidness and the intensity that comes with extreme or absolute words, okay? We want to knock them down a bit, and we want to make them more realistic and more nurturing, less irrational. So some examples of what this would look like, continuing with the examples that we had before, everyone should love me. Changing that to be more supportive is, I would like it if everyone loved me, but I know that's impossible. Some people just don't vibe, and that's okay. And that's true. That's a realistic statement, and that is a positive statement. Okay, the next one. Every problem has an ideal solution. Problems often have best solutions, but rarely do they have ideal solutions. Okay, are we starting to sense a difference here? Here's a few more. I have to be highly competent in everything I do. Pretty irrational. A better statement would be, I would like to be competent in everything, but that is very unlikely. I take pride in what I do, and I want to do it well, but no one is perfect, so I'll just put in my best effort, and that will be enough. How does it, when I'm reading those out, how does that feel to hear the more nurturing, rephrased statement? Another one, these ones will start to be more relevant just in terms of health. If I don't lose weight every week, then I'm a failure and I may as well give up. Better statement, just because I don't lose weight every week does not mean I'm a failure. I've been working hard and will celebrate the progress that I've made in different areas. This one I feel like I have to tell a lot of my clients quite often. I am the rephraser. And here's one more. If I don't succeed every week, then my personal trainer will think I am worthless, a failure, uncommitted, so I may as well give up. My personal trainer is there to support me, not to reject me for being imperfect. She will not view me as worthless because I struggle at this difficult task. That would be both mean and unreasonable. Okay, what do we think of this? So these are just a few examples of how we can take irrational beliefs and rephrase them. Let me know in the comments what you were thinking. As before, so if you take my first step, which is writing down those irrational beliefs, identifying them, writing down so you visually see them, what would be an awesome strategy would then be to scratch these out Scratch out the irrational beliefs and replace them with a written rephrasing, one that is more positive and one that is more nurturing. This is going to help you slow down, and it's going to help your brain process the difference. Sometimes it's not enough just to be like, oh, I'll fix it in the moment. Sometimes we really got to slow down and retrain our brain to see things differently. And that gets easier as we go, but it does require intention in the beginning. It's going to change your brain, or it's going to train your brain, to change the internal dialogue. And the more you do this, the more fluent and the more automatic it becomes. So again, I'm going to check the comments. Let me know, what have you learned so far? What are you going to take away from this? How are you going to apply this to your life? I'll take a look at the comments and see what people are saying. Kyla said 3 hearts. 3 hearts back to you. Carol said very relatable. I'm so glad you think so. Wendy said much less pressure thinking this way. Yes, reducing the pressure opens for progress. It might feel opposite, but it is, I can say this from working with hundreds of women, that reducing the pressure creates progress. Kyla said definitely sticky note worthy. Yeah, that's a great idea. Because it's, in truth too, you probably won't have one of these irrational beliefs and then it disappears forever when you rephrase it. You're probably going to have them quite consistently, and they'll probably be fairly similar. So having strategies or phrases that you can rewire with will be definitely beneficial for not just one statement, but for potentially many. Retrain your brain. Love it, Katie. I'm so glad you think so. And it probably sounds easy, but it's amazing what we allow our brains to entertain without us being aware of it, and how that actually creates a story that influences our actions. So sometimes we just need to pause and say, what's actually going on in here? And is it true to, you know, who I am and to what I believe? Is it irrational? Kyla said, definitely going to write down my internal thoughts and change them. Yes. Jane said, the words you say to yourself have a huge influence on how you think of things. Yes. Okay, great, guys. Been there, done that. Let me know if you have any more questions on this, because I will address them at the end. I just want you guys to know, though, that limiting thoughts, and this is my little dose of encouragement for today, limiting thoughts or irrational beliefs, they are not a life sentence. They may have tripped you up to this point, but they can stop there. This is a very, this very simple strategy of just writing down and rephrasing. If you put the work in, it is very effective. It can completely change the way that you see and approach life. But just like anything, it requires your attention and your effort. Like I said, I've had to navigate these thoughts with so many of my clients in a one-on-one sense. But I am also speaking from experience to say that when we work through them, both, I've understood this both in my life and with my clients, progress waits on the other side. It is so worth the time and energy. And I just want to encourage you that you can change the way that you think. You can create a mindset that builds you and doesn't break you, one that can nurture, inspire, and support you. But it does start with identifying and getting rid of irrational beliefs. I would love to know what you think. I hope breaking down this topic has been beneficial for you. If you are out of time or you've gotten what you needed, you can hop off now, but I will take a few minutes to answer any questions or elaborate on anything that I've discussed. Feel free to comment below and I will do my best to answer them. But also too, just a side note to this, is when you are writing down those irrational beliefs, if in the beginning you're just like figuring out how to identify those things, I would keep a reminder on your notepad, or I'd keep a reminder on your phone that you are looking for absolute and extreme words. So you might want to screenshot this photo just so you can keep that as a reference. But we're looking for these types of words to identify irrational beliefs. Okay. And I would also say that absolute words, it could be should or it could be shouldn't. So think of when you have a big dinner and you say, I shouldn't get the fries or whatever else, right? It can go both ways for that. But yeah, feel free to take a screenshot of this. you might need this reference in the beginning when you're just learning to identify some of those thoughts. Okay, let me know, guys. Do you have any questions? Do you have any thoughts here? Check the comments. Avery said, I feel like this will help me so much with my negative attitude towards my busy schedule and tasks I fight myself to do throughout the week. Writing them down is such a great idea and I love it. Journaling is something I really enjoy. Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so thrilled to hear that. Would never and always be a part of those words? Yes. Yes. I'm just thinking of which ones they would be. They would fit in within that category. Never and always. So something like, I am never going to progress. That would be an irrational belief, an irrational phrase. I'm always sore after workouts. I'm always being pressured by my family. I never have the time for myself. I never have the time to work out. Irrational beliefs. They are not, they may have an element of truth to them, but they are totally amplified. I'm just going to go back here. They are exaggerated reality. You might want to screenshot this one too. Exaggerated reality. But they take us towards the negative and they lead to unhappy moods, which almost always, or a good chunk of the time, can lead to unhappy actions. So if we can identify them and rephrase them, we have a much better chance of creating actions and intentions that we are proud of, that support our goals and support the direction we want to go. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Avery, I know you had a question beforehand. Did you want me to elaborate on that, or did you see from this how that could apply? I will read Avery's question and I'll explain it. But I think, let me just grab it. So Avery said, I have a hard time with irrational beliefs because I almost use them as my goals that I want to achieve. How would I be able to use rephrasing to still achieve my goals instead of irrational beliefs about the way I think of my body has to look a certain way? I think I can't gain weight or have weight to lose, if that makes sense. It does make sense. What I would say with that is this can apply to anything, right? It can apply to any belief, and it can apply to the way you approach your goals as well. And what I think it comes down to is identifying those extreme words that you are using with your goals and rephrasing those to be more supportive of a process and less supportive of an outcome. Does that make sense? So rephrasing them to be less rigid about an outcome and nurturing them, rephrasing them to be more positive of a process. I think that's where you'll find that shift helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions, guys. I'll check here. Melissa said, this is what I needed. Here's to doing my best to change those thoughts. Super proud of you for putting in the effort. Honestly, it's worth it. And it's one of the best things you can do for yourself, especially if, changing your lifestyle right now feels really intimidating with food or exercise or whatever else. Start with how you think. Honestly, start with how you think. If any of you guys do have irrational beliefs or you're trying to process some of those, but you're just having trouble, you can absolutely let me know and I will help you through that. Stephanie said, I was once told to stop shooting on myself. Shooting. I just imagine it as adding rocks to bags on my back. That is an amazing analogy. Absolutely. Every time you said I should do that, it's like a burden, right? It's just that exaggeration, that extreme, that intensity. It just gets really overwhelming and really hard to do anything because you feel so pressured. So rephrasing statements is a lot about just taking away that pressure, rephrasing it to be something that is nurturing instead of mean and intense and rigid and unfair. So absolutely. Please let me know if you have any other questions. Also, if you have any other topics of interest, please also let me know. I plan on being live kind of in next while, every 2 weeks or so. So 2 weeks from today, I would plan to be live again. So if there's anything that is interesting to you, if there's anything that you would like more information on, let me know. I am here for your success. So please just let me know how I can help you better. I'm going to check the comments one more time, and then we'll hop off here. Wendy said, I like that. Start with how you think. Yes, I've had a lot of conversations about this lately where people think they need to start with the actions to create the results, but actions come from beliefs and incentive and how we think. So before you set yourself up to do actions, start a step before that. Because when your head supports your actions, everything flows easier. You know, if your headspace is not in the right place and you're like trying to do these actions, you're just going to keep fighting them. You're just going to keep coming back to irrational beliefs or things that are in your way. So start with the mind, move forward. Little nugget of wisdom for you guys. Cool. Okay, guys, I'm going to hop off. I hope you have a wonderful Friday tomorrow for you guys that are in Canada. Wonderful weekend for those that are in Australia. Enjoy where you are at, and let's get to work digging in on our irrational beliefs. I know you guys can do this, and I'm here for you to support you in whatever way you need. So don't hesitate to let me know if you need my help. Cool, guys? We will talk soon. Bye for now.